from us. Love wants you, we can bring it on the floor. Never danced like this before. We don't talk about it.
Hey guys, what's cracking? It is Krakenation, and today we are continuing our Generation 7 analysis videos on specific Pokemon, and today we're going to be looking at none other than Alolan Marowak. This is one of the new Alolan forms of original Pokemon, in this case obviously Marowak, where these Pokemon have either received typing changes, move changes, stat changes, so on and so forth. A lot of times combinations, therefore. Alolan Marowak has emerged on the scene as one of the more viable Alolan variations, and I want to go into why that might be. And so, without further ado, we're going to start off by just looking at its stats. Alolan Marowak has honestly fairly mediocre stats. It is a Ghost Fire type compared to its previous ground typing, with an HP of 60, an attack of 80, a defense of 110, special attack of 50, special defense of 80, and speed of 45. Its ability is Lightning Rod. Everything about it is just kind of like mediocre stats-wise. It does have a pretty good defense stat, so it can definitely take hits on that side, as well as a not shabby SPDEF stat with investment, which is what lends itself to making a lot more especially defensive sets in general, because it does end up kind of being a more tanky Pokemon on teams. I think what we're going to get into with Alolan Marowak is a little bit of how it's kind of found its way into the meta, and what sets kind of got it there. So basically you're going to be seeing two items almost exclusively, maybe three, with Alolan Marowak, unless you really wanted to run some kind of offensive variant. But in general, your item choices are going to be Leftovers, Thick Club, and Assault Vest. Leftovers basically just makes you as really focusing on defensive roles, while Thick Club can really actually make this thing hit pretty hard, as Thick Club is that Marowak exclusive item. However, what I do want to say about the Assault Vest set is that it kind of limits as far as it did get a lot of new move pool changes. Ghost Stab, Fire Stab, and then Will-O-Wisp is pretty huge. And so running Assault Vest kind of limits its usage of Will-O-Wisp, and that's kind of unfortunate. It is pretty cool that Marowak is also able to go back and use all of its previous ground type moves. So a lot of these Alolan Marowaks on the ladder are running Earthquake. And we're going to get into why that is actually now. Basically, for starters, it's really effective in the current meta with a very anti-meta role. What I'm basically trying to say with this is that it isn't really... You look at what Alolan Marowak has to offer right off the bat, and it doesn't offer a whole lot. That's to say, stats, nothing to look at. Move pool, decent, again, not great. Is there anything else, some special it factor that this Pokemon has? Not really, but what kind of makes Alolan Marowak so good is the way the meta shaped up in this early phases of the Sun Moon meta. What I really want to stress with that is things like Kartana, Celesteela, some of these more intense Gen 7 Pokemon have quickly were taken by storm by players, and players were spamming them on teams, and so this led to a lot of Pokemon to answer them. Alolan Marowak is actually kind of capable of answering both of those Pokemon, but it is also really capable of answering the answers to that Pokemon, because everybody was running Celesteela and Kartana and all those, so everyone started running Magnezone, and so with literally everyone running Magnezone, Alolan Marowak, as you can see, especially a specially defensive Marowak, caught on like wildfire as far as a way to answer these Magnezones running on the ladder. With your resistance to the Steel type attacks, immunity to Electric type attacks, basically just a really good way to support the Pokemon that would have beaten Celesteela, it just allowed you to really capitalize on the way the meta trends had yet to develop. With that said, I think that it either is going to excel or fail based on your opponent's team composition. Basically, if Marowak, you're going to know if Marowak's going to do work or not, or it's just going to be fodder in the turn game on turn 1. Because if you don't see something like a Magnezone or a Steel type that this thing can take on, it's kind of, it's pretty unfortunate. It's a pretty crappy defensive typing. It's like a weird defensive type thing. It's got some interesting resistances, but it's also got some very crappy weaknesses, and a quite large multitude of them, if I'm being honest. So you definitely want to be wary of that. So yeah, it's really gonna just either you're gonna know if it's gonna be able to put in work based on what you're seeing on your opponent's roster, or you're gonna know that it's basically gonna have to be fodder. And because of these kind of factors, it's really limited, and I think that indicates that we're gonna see a decline in usage from the starting days, especially if the meta becomes more and more refined over time, and the real like crowning achievements, like the top tier Pokemon, start to really emerge. We're gonna see that it's just gonna have a really tough time kind of keeping up, because it does have such a mediocre stats, not a great ability, honestly, and then also like a fairly move pool. Like, it's okay, I guess. So these things, in my opinion, probably won't be enough to keep Marowak in OU for long. It's probably going to end up fitting in as a UU or RU mon with some niche in higher tiers, just based on the fact that it can be an anti-meta Pokemon. Similar to, I think it's going to fall into a similar boat with things like Amoonguss that were really good in lower tiers, and based on just how they function as anti-meta Pokemon in higher tiers, they eventually can sometimes moved up, moved down. They just kind of were all over the place, just seeing tiers, random usage and random tiers, just based on how those tiers were trending at any particular moment. If I can offer some evidence with my Amoonguss example, things like Clefable and Keldeo were taking over the meta in ORAS really well. Like, Keldeo was just becoming a huge problem for a lot of teams. Clefable was rated S for like the longest time, and so Amoonguss gave a lot of teams a pretty solid defensive way to answer those Pokemon, and so Amoonguss moved up, even though really, if you think about it, Amoonguss didn't offer a lot in the ways of kind of mediocre stats, a good ability obviously, but mediocre stats, pretty bad coverage. It was able to sponge hits and take on Clefable and things like Keldeo, things like Slowbro, Starmie too. So it just really kind of was anti-meta. So it then just quickly dropped back down to UU. It just really is based on these anti-meta Pokemon kind of rise and fall with trends of the meta. And so I think Alolan Marowak, if I haven't convinced you, or if I have, I don't know, but I think it's going to be a Pokemon that falls into that trap. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. It is always very appreciated. I'm hoping to be able to keep doing these videos in the near future. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Krakenation out.
Spin Missile is very cool, to say the least. At least I didn't get 6-0'd.